Many Canadians wonder at least once in their lives, what does it mean to be Canadian? Being Canadian is a truly powerful sentiment with a lot of culture, history, and meaning. From the first European settlers to the refugee families claiming asylum, being Canadian has no borders, unlike those between being Canadian and being American. Take the USMCA, for example. What was formerly known as NAFTA is now a 2.0 version of what's set to become a great trade agreement for both Americans, Mexicans, and Canadians, according to current U.S. President Donald Trump. But who exactly is benefiting from the demolishment of NAFTA and the merge of the USMCA? Let's take a look. The former NAFTA deal between the U.S. and Canada depicts that importing U.S. product to Canada comes with a 5% tax for Canadian buyers. Meanwhile, today's import rates from the U.S. to Canada set at a 5 to 40% tax plus new duties, which is higher than any other country Canada trades with by a staggering amount. It's clear that Canada got the short end of the stick on this deal, considering we charge little to no duties and tariffs. And we can clearly see it in our Canadian government as we dive further into the deficit every day. But how do Canadians really feel about the USMCA and all it bears with it? We asked some Canadian citizens, and the responses aren't surprising. I purchased 2 items from a company based in the US. When I received the packages several days late, in 2 separate deliveries no less, I was forced to pay over $67 Canadian in duties. The original cost of the package was only just over $100 Canadian, and I'm forced to pay almost the same amount in a US tax, stemming from a poor trade agreement. I certainly have no desires to buy any more products from the US because of the fees I have to pay, and the price difference from US to Canadian is disappointingly high. Several Canadians had a similar viewpoint, with Canadian dairy farmers calling the USMCA a huge disappointment. Other Canadians referred to the deal as the tipping point for a US-Canadian trade war. These statements, as compared to a survey from 2001 comparing Canada's viewpoints on globalization, shows that there's been a spike in awareness over the course of the last 18 years by at least 40%. Canadians have a growing concern that globalization in the form of trade is becoming more expensive and unattractive, with the biggest spike forming after President Trump's announcement to abolish NAFTA and nearly force Canada into an unfair and unequal deal causing both federal, provincial, and local sufferings. So what can we as Canadians do about these skyrocket prices? Well, if you've been on a trip to the US or recently made an online purchase from a store based in America, you've probably noticed that once you've completed your order, the receipt on your credit card is more than likely almost double what you paid for in US currency. This is one of the many results of the USMCA and the falling Canadian dollar, causing more and more Canadians to boycott US products and keep their dollar in the local bank. This is the recommendation for all Canadian citizens, to boycott US prices. Unfortunately, this isn't as easy and cost-efficient as it sounds. Take the dairy industry, for example. More Canadians have been turning to US dairy products because it's cheaper than buying Canadian. This is unfortunate, however, because Canada has better health standards when it comes to our food, unlike America, where everything that isn't labeled organic is filled with dangerous carcinogens and antibiotics. This, along with all other food products, have a similar result. More people buy American because it's cheaper, but not necessarily better quality. But despite the sometimes higher prices for basic life needs and other luxuries, it's best to try and buy Canadian whenever possible. And when in doubt, look for the Canadian logo on many of your trusted products. Boycotting US products will make the high prices eventually collapse, so we can finally have a peaceful trade agreement. Thank you for watching this newscast.